So the dedication for this session was to hard work, and obviously that's external work, getting things done, and internal work. Session is really work. It's not a time for relaxation. It's not a time for just blissing out. I guess there's moments of that, but it's really about allowing the depths of our karma, our conditions, the cause and effect conditions of our life to really come up. Things that we've pushed down, things that we cover up, kind of are given a space during session. And we have to do the work to penetrate what that is, all those conditions. So I thought of a koan from the Book of Equanimity, or the Shoyo Roku. It talks about work. And of course, I did not make a doggy ear. So, yeah, okay. It's kind of a popular koan. A lot of people talk about this one. Attention! As Ungan was sweeping the ground, Dogo said, "You're hard at it." Ungan replied, "You should know there's one who isn't hard at it." Dogo said, "So is there a second moon?" Ungan held up the broom, saying, "Which moon is this?" Dogo desisted. Regarding this, Gensha remarked, "Indeed, this is the second moon." Uman also said, "The butler watches the maid politely." So, talking about hard work, hard at it. And obviously these koans are all about those of us who are working with them, really getting the point for ourselves and doing that hard work to really, and it goes on forever. There are koans that, Seisin, our founder and abbot, she's been looking at some of these koans for years and gone through them with multiple students and talked about them with teachers and everything. And to this day, sometimes she'll be like, "Oh my God, I never got this koan until right now." So they really are the gift that keeps on giving. So Ungan is a monk, and he's sweeping the ground. And Dogo, who we could imagine is maybe just another monk, like his Dharma peer. Maybe he's a teacher. I don't know. I didn't quite read the history of it. But either way, they're at the temple, and Ungan is sweeping, and Dogo comes up and he says, "You're hard at it." I'm trying to think when I've done that. I know that feeling when you see somebody working really hard. Maybe you feel a little guilty. So you're just like, "Man, you're working so hard. Thank you." It's just a nice expression of I guess gratitude maybe. And then Ungan replies, "You should know there's one who isn't hard at it." So what does that mean? And of course, again, talking about it is one thing, but really getting for myself the one who is not giving a Dharma talk right now. Right? It's kind of like fancy Zen language. No self. Completely one with what we're doing, whether it's zazen or sweeping the ground or giving a talk or dealing with an ailing mother. If I really lose myself in it, then we all know that feeling. We all know that feeling. Maybe it's when you're jogging or kayaking or doing art or doing your work where you're just so engrossed and you have that kind of samadhi experience in whatever it is you're doing. And there's no one doing that thing. It's just that thing of itself, empty, essenceless, just completely in the moment. So, yeah, he's kind of being a little like Zen stinky here. You know what I mean? Probably a better way to say the same exact thing would just be to say thank you and just keep sweeping. The minute he says, but there is not one, already, boom, like he's already messed it up because he's naming it. He's calling it something. He's already taken that moment of oneness, that no person sweeping, and he's turned it into an idea. So it's almost like a self-negating sentence. But, that's what we do. We just get better and better. And that's what Sangha is for sharpening our understanding, sharpening our enlightenment. And we make mistakes, and good for him for going out on a limb. It's a little bit stinky and he gets reprimanded here in the next sentence, but, you know, good for him. I like the enthusiasm. Um, so then Dogo responds, so is there a second moon? And yeah, I guess the common interpretation of this is like the same as when we say to put a hat on a hat. Don't put a hat on a hat when you've like gone a step too far. So I think that's what Dogo's getting at here. Like obviously there's not a second moon, at least for Earth. Back in these days, I don't think they knew about Jupiter and its moons. I don't know, maybe they did. I don't think so. So yeah, it's like just as ridiculous to say that there's a second moon as it is to have to like call out this thing. He's basically saying what we just talked about. Like, yo, man, like the minute you say that, you've already negated that. No self sweeping, no one sweeping. So that's kind of sharp, right? He's getting back at him. A clap back might be a modern term for that. But then Ungan holds up the broom and says, which moon is this? So that's nice. That's a really nice, yeah, I think that happens in Doksan all the time. In an interview, when you're working with your teacher, you might say something, and the teacher might say, well, it feels like, and then maybe you have something, maybe you like agree and come back with something else, and they're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And just in life, it's okay to make a mistake. I really love how he kind of like, he's a little bit, maybe he really looks up to Dogo. Maybe he's like super excited when Dogo comes around and he's like, look, I'm like a no one sweeping, because we get excited. I do that all the time. Get like eager beaver with people that I admire or get excited to see. And then he cuts him down and he's like, okay, hold up. Let me be real here. Let me get back to like unover enthused me and like act in the moment and be really present and sharp. And of course, I think most of us know that presenting what is here right now is always the clearest presentation of the awakened way. It's not ideas, it's not concepts, it's not philosophy. It's just what is right here. My exhaustion, my grieving, my foggy headedness, my excitement. It's all Buddha manifesting itself in every moment. So it's a great presentation. He holds up the broom. Which moon is this, right? And moon is also nice because, in a lot of koans and poetry, Buddhist poetry, the moon is used as a metaphor for enlightenment. So he's basically saying, look, enlightenment right here in my hand. Blisters from sweeping. Perfect Buddha. So it's a nice expression. And he kind of realizes, oh, I was being a little stinky before. Sorry. Which moon is this? This is really nice. And Dogo desisted. So I think we can see pretty clearly that desisting in this case is approval. It's complete oneness, complete togetherness, connecting with each other. And I don't know, that's been really important for me in my Zen practice and working with Seisen. But outside of Zen practice, just in life, how many times not saying anything has been the perfect thing to do? And I was not raised that way, or I don't know about raised, that's not how I grew up. That's not how I was as a younger person. It was always about one-upping, always about proving I'm smart, proving I'm wise, proving I get it, proving that I'm connecting, even if it's like with good intention, right? Showing that I'm with you. And I just, for my life, I have to say that learning that lesson over and over and over again, that sometimes just being quiet, just shutting up and allowing someone else to have the last word, allowing someone else to have the spotlight, allowing someone else to be praised for their wisdom without having to be like, oh yeah, yeah, of course, yes, I know this. Or, oh yeah, yeah, and this too, whatever it may be. To just desist can be the best thing to do, the best service to offer, the best way to empower people, the best way forward. And it's so hard. We really don't celebrate silence or desisting in our culture, at least in America. It's always about bigger, better, louder, righter, more famous, more popular. That's what we celebrate. And so, yeah, so many of these koans, we can take desisting or being quiet or not saying anything as basically like approval or celebration. There's nothing else to say. What other enlightenment is there than this broom in my hand right now? This rainy day, this sadness that I'm feeling. What else could there possibly be? What else is there to say? He completely sums everything up. The commentator Shishin, this is Shishin's book. Shishin's our Dharma, or Dharma uncle, I guess. Seisen's Dharma brother. And, oh man, I can't find it now. But he basically says he sums it all up just by saying, which moon is this? Snatching everything away, absolute, relative, moon, broom, sweeping, all of those ideas, concepts, play, words, phrases, theories, philosophies, all of it snatched away with just a broom. No one holding the broom. So yeah, so Dogo desists, and that's the end of the story, right? What else is there to say? Perfect ending. So then regarding this, and sometimes these koans do that, they like jump forward 100 or so years to like future Zen masters who comment on this story. And so we talk about Gensha and Uman. Those are students of or successors of Seppo, who's like a major character in our koan curriculum. So Gensho remarked, "Indeed, this is the second moon." So I think there's multiple ways to see that. Um, he might be saying kind of what Dogo was saying, that this whole interaction, looking to any teaching, looking to any concept or mantra or idea, is a second moon. It's adding a hat on a hat. It's extra. It's something to, distract us from seizing reality directly in this moment. Or he could be saying, let's see, what could he be saying? Um, Indeed, this is the second moon. Um, yeah, maybe it is praise. Maybe since moon is enlightenment, maybe he's saying there's two enlightened beings here. Maybe. Um, maybe he's, sometimes we say nonsensical or maybe kind of wacky things to express not being attached to anything, completely free. There's no self. There's two moons. Not knowing. And then Uman, his Gensha's Dharma brother, says the butler watches the maid politely. And when I was working on this with Seisin, and the way I've always heard it talked about, and it shows up in other koans too, butler and maid are like, servants. And of course, for us as Buddhists, as people dedicated to the practice of no self, uh, serving is what we do. That's the Bodhisattva vow. Vowing to live primarily to wake others up and to be of service. So in that sense, calling them butler and maid is like the utmost praise. And so yeah, again, what a wonderful interaction. These two servants sharpening their understanding together. Right? How lucky is that? How lucky is that I get these people here sitting with me, They're not talking about boobs. They're not talking about TV. They're not talking about, you know, eating. They're like helping each other deepen their intimacy with the way. And that's so special. That's why Sangha is so special. But then in this commentary, it's interesting, Shishin talks about it as a censure, as a criticism, that maid and butler are lowly people. They're not like the nobles and the aristocrats or the kings. They're these lowly people messing around in the dirt, talking about moons and enlightenment and no self. It's all just blah, 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 chatter. And there's truth to that too. But he does have a nice line about that. He says, Do, do. If they really are like children, uneducated servants, it is to help us to see directly into that one who isn't hard at it, right? So, in other words, yeah, they're anytime we talk or use words or try to communicate using ideas to express the way, it's already wrong, just like we said. But we have to. It's the only way we can share it. So, and there's tons of koans and talks that are all about that, we give Dharma talks, we have sutras, we see the teacher and use these words and ideas, that miss the point for the sake of others. Because we have to. It's the only way we can really share with each other is through ideas, communicating. So, yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, they're lowly servants dealing with the muck of words and ideas, but they're doing it out of service so that we can study their dialogue hundreds and hundreds of years later to really see for ourselves who is the one that isn't sitting session. And that is hard work. So we're like literally at the hump right now of our session. And unfortunately, it's not a hump where you get a downhill that's easy. It's more like a hump that goes up. It only gets harder. Yeah, thank you so much for sitting with me, and let's support each other, and let's really dig in for this second half. Do some hard work. Let's do it. Thank you.